Mandalorian Episode 2, The Child. So, Episode 2, of course, unfortunately was only like 30 or so minutes. I was sad by that, admittedly, but it was an entertaining episode. I would say Episode 1, of course, being the first episode, they, of course, have to put in like the epic action sequences, the IG scene, and them just taking on a bunch of bounty hunters. And this episode still had some good action. Of course, they have the opening sequence where, he's walking with the kid, and it's like, okay, something's happening. And I thought it was really cool. Like, they had a quick moment. You could totally miss it it was like a blink and you miss it type moment. But when he's stopping and he's looking around, like when he turns, they show the reflection off of his helmet and you see someone like jump across. I was like, that's a cool way to do that. So it's like, of course we knew he was about to be attacked, but that's like a cool way to show it. And I was like, all right, so he's about to get attacked, of course. We see a bunch of people drop down. They're whatever Bossk's people are, it was a bunch of them. Of course, he wins, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty fun to watch, and he's taking them all down. He succeeds. It's like, all right, that was a sweet opening scene. And then it's like, all right, let's go ahead and get back to the ship. And of course, the Jawas have like stripped it clean, pretty much. Like they've stripped it enough to where it does not work. So I thought that was great. And he was the Mandalorian. He was like, okay. All right, let's see. All right, fine. And then he just starts blasting them. And also, that weapon he used, whatever the specific mode was, because that's what he does when he kills, like, I think it was the last enemy that he killed it like that because it was about to go after the baby. And he was like, oh. And he just pulled the gun. And I was like, oh, I thought he was going to zap the dude. I thought he was going to hit him and he'd be stunned. And then he'd, like, hit him with a blaster and kill him. And he shot him and he just evaporated. It was like, and not everything. It was like he kills them and the body is gone, but the clothes stay there. And I was like, that's intense. Something about that makes it more intense than if he hit them and they just poof, like everything just exploded. It was like, no, it destroys like the biomass, like anything that's like just clothing or non-living tissue. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna just plop on the ground. The person inside that or the thing or whatever dies and the clothes just drop to the ground. And I was like, that makes it more visceral. I don't know why, but something about that is just like, it's a weird existential type thing. Like you were there and your clothes, what you had remained and you're nothing. Something about that was just like, that makes it worse. It makes it darker. So he sees the Jawas and he gets pissed naturally. And so he's just like, I'm just going to load this thing up one at a time. Boom, boom, boom. And he takes out like 3 or 4 of them. And I was like, all right, that was interesting. And then he goes through the whole segment. He kills like 2 more because he's climbing up the sandcrawler. Pulls off 2, takes them all the way down. And he gets to the top. And I thought it was going to be like another cool scene where he's just like, he gets to the top and he's just blasting them and steals the stuff back. And it was like, nope. They just hit him and they zapped him. And he just dropped. And he was out for a while. Excuse me. So that was interesting. I was like, all right. Didn't see that coming. Thought it was going to be another epic moment for him. But, he did some cool... I mean, admittedly, he did climb up the ship by hand. So that in itself was far more than I could possibly do. So it was definitely a cool moment. But it ended, like, kind of funny way. Because I thought he was going to take everyone down. It was like, they had him surrounded. And I was like, how is he going to get out of this? And instead of, like, blasting him, they just zap him. And then he's down for the count. I was like, oh, that sucks for him. So then he's stuck, and it's like, all right, well, I guess I gotta go back to the old guy. And, they're walking around, and it's like, all right, they basically destroyed my ship. It was like, they stripped it, they didn't destroy it, so we'll go and talk to them. And, of course, they're a little upset, because, he vaporized a couple of them and stuff, which I thought was a funny line. And so, I love the scene. They're sitting there, and it's like, all right, you're gonna have to trade. And it's like, trade for what? Like, they stole my stuff. And it's like, well, that's the law. And it was like, I forgot exactly how it played out, but when he got mad and he was like, you understand this, and he like just was about to flamethrower the dude, I laughed so hard. I was like, I just wasn't expecting him to do that, and he just got super pissed off. I was like, you understand this? And he just like, I was about to set him on fire. I was like, man, that's so cool, but it was also really funny just to see him that angry. But it was a great scene. Of course, he wasn't going to trade the kid. So it was like, all right, we want an egg. So then he goes off. He takes the little baby with him. He goes off, and this is kind of what I mentioned in the last episode. He can't take on, like, natural creatures. That seems to be, like, his one big caveat. Like, he can fight and fight and fight if it's just, like, a bipedal thing. Like, 2 legs, generic human style. He can take it down, no problem. He will flip and spin. He'll toss his gun at you, kick you, get the gun back type stuff. He can do all that. But when it comes to like big monsters or anything like these giant creatures with horns, he is always outmatched. Like every single time. And I'm pretty sure it's the exact same creature. I think it was different. Because I think the creatures were like the blurgs or whatever. In the first episode, they were just the adult versions, and in this, it was a totally different creature with a horn. But either way, he just can't succeed. And it may have been the exact same type of creature, but he just can't do it. When it comes to like natural creatures in the world, it's just not his thing. He can fight and he can try, but he will get hit and knocked down. Like his chest piece was like completely destroyed. It was already messed up to begin with. And, like his arm gets hurt from that first big fight. And the baby, is trying to do something, which I thought that was really cool too. Like we see the baby, of course, it ends up using the Force. I was like, I wasn't surprised at the end when we see the baby officially use the Force, because I'm like, he has to, because it was trying to do something, and I was more curious. Oddly enough, I was more curious what he was going to do with those wounds than what he did at the end, because I was like, okay, using the Force, you lift some rocks, you lift an X-wing, size matters not, that sort of deal. Yoda's training. So I was like, okay, the kid lifted the creature. It allowed for him to stab it in this very specific spot. And I also believe, I wanted to mention this because I was watching the episode with someone else, and it was like, he just stabbed it in the neck and killed it. And I was like, but I'm pretty sure that was like a vibrating blade, because when he was tired, even though he was waiting for the creature to come at him and he was going to do something, I'm pretty sure the way they had it, like it was close up to the camera, so it wasn't in focus, but it looked like it was shifting to me, because I'm like, that would be a really crazy effect for them to add in for no reason, or that would just be like an insane coincidence if somehow it was like the perfect camera angle and it made a blade look like it was moving back and forth. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure that it was a vibrating blade. It wasn't just like he just stabbed it with a blade and it was just like poof, it died. It was like a vibrating blade. So as it moved in, it's like shifting and cutting as it's stabbing further in. So I think that's why that worked, because it wasn't just like a simple knife and he was just like, and he got it in the perfect spot, which even then I'd be like, yeah, that kind of makes sense for a Mandalorian at least. Plus, you stab anything in the brain, it doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter what, you stab far enough, you killed it. So, just wanted to note that. I'm pretty sure it was a vibrating blade. But I thought it was cool. I was like, all right, that was a cool scene, and the baby used up a bit too much of his power, so, it passes out until the very end of the episode. But I was far more curious what it was going to do to the wounds, because I was like, I don't think there's ever been a time we've seen, at least not as far as the shows or movies or anything like that. It's probably, as far as Legends canon goes, or former canon, they've done like 100 trillion things. They've done like a million things with clones and all sorts of stuff. So it's probably somewhere in the comics, but I've never personally seen it where someone using the Force has just straight up healed a wound. But we also have, Darth Plagueis the Wise. So we have people cheating death and stuff like that. And, the Emperor is one of those people that's done it. At least we'll see what happens with Rise of Skywalker, but he's certainly done it in the comics and stuff like that with clones and other crazy things like that as well. So we'll see how that ultimately ends up playing out. But I was like, okay, I wanted to see what was going to happen there. Was the kid just going to like touch his arm or get close enough and the wound was legitimately just going to like heal and he was just going to get more cells and just poof, he's back to normal? Or what was going to happen there? So that's what I wanted to see more than what we got at the end. So I'm hoping that we get a bit more of that, in future episodes. But I still definitely enjoyed it. We had, the cool action sequences. And then, of course, at the end, we have them fixing up the ship. And, the Mandalorian offers his buddy, which I totally forgot the name of the character, but obviously Nick Nolte's character. He's like, I could certainly use a teammate. I could certainly offer you some money. And it's like, no, I want to live here. I really just wanted peace. So I'm going to stay where I'm at and you do whatever you want to do. It's like, I don't really want that. I just want to live my life. It's like, okay, well, all I can offer you is my thanks then, because I don't have anything right now. So it's just, a shake and a goodbye. And it's like, all right, I have spoken, and, then he left. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. So I'm glad that they left the planet in this episode, because I want to see more characters, and it's not like we have a ton of episodes anyway. So I'm looking forward to seeing more characters pop up in the next episode. I wish we got previews. In all honesty, I would love to see previews for the next episodes. It made sense for the first one not to have it, because it was like, Tuesday and then Friday. But I would love it if they had previews for the next episode, like just to get you even more excited, because you have no clue what's happening next. And that's totally fine. I'm still super excited based on the episode I watched. But I would love to have a preview just to be like, just what's going to happen. Like, is he going to go to an ally? Does he have other allies? If he goes to the Mandalorians, are they going to be pissed that he brought that sort of trouble to them? More flashbacks and stuff, because they do that in the first episode, but we don't really see anything else. We haven't yet. Obviously, it's still super early. But looking forward to what we get. I don't know kind of what to expect from any of these characters, or who's going to live, who's going to die, the overall universe type stuff. Who the F knows? But I'm definitely looking forward to it. So I can't wait for episode 3 this Friday. And in general, I'm excited to see just this entire season. Like, I just want to see every episode so bad because they know that if they had put all those episodes out, I would have binge watched that whole series in a day and be like, all right, well, I'm done with Disney Plus because that's all that matters to me right now is The Mandalorian. And until the like what if shows and stuff come out for Marvel as well as Clone Wars, nothing matters to me except for The Mandalorian. Although I will say the Jeff Goldblum show was pretty funny. The first episode is him talking about sneakers and stuff, and the next one's about ice cream. So that should just be funny. Jeff Goldblum is really silly. He's a weird dude. So fun watching that episode for sure. Like we were all just laughing like at everything he was doing and like the noises he was making and just the way he speaks is really funny. So I'd recommend that show because it's just entertaining. If you got the service, that's one to watch at least. But very excited for episode 3. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about episode 2. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And of course, with them showing this little Yoda creature using the Force, which I think we all kind of expected. Like, even though it's not necessarily automatic, it's kind of the thing. Like, Yoda's like the main example of the species. So it's kind of like, all right, if you only have this one guy and he's like one of the best Jedi ever, if another one pops up, I'm just instantly going to assume it's like, all right, well, Yoda's this epic. He'll probably be this epic too because they seem to be rare, and that's probably a part of it. That's like the odd balance of the universe is that they only pop up so rarely because if for whatever reason one of them decided to turn evil and there were a bunch that followed them, no one could possibly stop them because they're so insanely in tune with the Force. So that could be like the weird universal thing where it's like only a couple, here and there or whatever. But either way, we'll love to know what you guys are thinking about that and how that's going to end up playing out. There's not much to ask as far as characters because they, it's been the same. It was the same 2 characters from episode 1. So there's not much to ask there. But as far as how things seem to be moving, at least with episode 2, what are your thoughts on it? Has it kind of kept the pace at least a little bit? Much shorter episode, not as bombastic, but I still think a great action sequence, of course, in the beginning, and then just him being, it was almost like a knockdown, drag out fight, but not really because he was just getting beat up the whole time. But it was still just like, what's he gonna try next? What's he gonna do? And in my head, I keep thinking about Boba Fett having the missile, which is a normal thing, but he doesn't have like everything a Mandalorian has. He doesn't even have a jetpack right now, which we might see. I don't know if that's 100%. I think someone mentioned that it's in one of the promos when he's like on the ship, but I think he really just ziplined the ship, and then he just like pulled himself closer to it. I don't know if he actually had a jetpack in that specific scene, but either way, we might see him get one. We might not. Who the F knows? I would love to see him get the missile, and then he's using the gun, he's got the flamethrower, he's zapping people, all that stuff. By the end, he's just like, he's decked out Mandalorian. It'll be super sweet, I'm sure. But all in all, just want to know what you guys thought about this episode and where the series may or may not be going. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.